Hi guys, I'm going to talk about the number one mistake people make when going to invest in a new website. Okay, so the number one mistake I see people making when they're thinking about investing in a new website is not budgeting properly. So this is a big one. It's hard, I know, for people who don't move in this space and work in this world to understand, what should this cost? What should I spend? You know, we live in a world where we understand what houses cost and we understand what cars cost and we understand, you know, a Hyundai is not the same as a BMW. And there's a common knowledge around that in our society. However, web and all things associated with digital, there's a little bit of mystery and people don't really know what goes into it and they don't know what they should be paying. On top of that, the problem is that you can talk to your cousin's mate who will build your website for $500, or you go to an agency and they say it's going to be $20,000. So how do you budget properly? Well, the thing to think about here to consider is cost versus price. So first of all, let's talk about fridges. Fridges is a great example because when we go to buy a fridge, you look at things like the size of the fridge, the style of the fridge, the capacity of the fridge, and then the price of the fridge. Fair enough. But if you're smart, you'll actually look inside at the sticker inside the fridge that talks about efficiency and how much power it's going to use. And you investigate how much do parts cost and how long does this thing have a warranty for. So there's other things that you would look at that factor in that aren't involved in the price, but they are the cost. So you factor the cost over a longer period of time. Websites, this is a great way to compare to websites because you can go quick and dirty up front, but you're probably going to pay more in the long run. And I'm not just talking about technical or it working or not working. I'm talking about user experience and what goes into the thinking behind that in order to make your website a conversion machine. So, you know, it's more than just a whack up a web page and hope for the best. You know, a good website will have had some thought and some skill and some expertise behind it to design something that will really speak to your customers. You need to look at things like lost revenue based on people not converting, or, you know, the site not working, poor usability, bad search engine performance. Like, how many opportunities are you missing out on because you went for the cheaper website that was slow and not optimized and the content wasn't structured for Google or for your customers? You know, how many people have you lost? That's sometimes an unquantifiable amount of money. So you need to factor that in when thinking about how much your website costs. So the second point on how much should this cost is, my advice is hire an expert. So you get what you pay for, and people understand this in terms of houses. Let's talk about architecturally designed houses versus just a kit home or an old house that's already built, you know. We understand that an architecturally designed home is obviously going to have a lot of things, extra things, and be more thought through in its execution than a kit home. But in hiring an expert, you know, you're paying for years of experience, training, the time it takes for that expert to sit down and look at your business and what your website needs to do for you, and then sitting with you and working out a plan alongside looking at search engine results and competition in that area and planning for that as well. So, you know, how much is someone with all of those skills worth? So think about realistically how long it would take to design, to iterate, to collaborate with you, and then execute a website that does everything that you need. It's going to take some time. Time equals money. So budgeting correctly is my number one tip for not making any mistakes when you're investing in your new website. I hope that helps. We're going to run some more of these, so stay tuned. See you soon.